Today I got another new location for you guys. One of my viewers, Cindy, she requested that we come to a marina, and that's somewhere where we haven't done a video yet. So today we are at Haulover Marina, which is a pretty big marina. We probably won't even see all of it, guys, but you'll be able to see all the nice views of the boats and the yachts behind me. I don't think we'll be able to get too close to them though, because they got all the little sections like to actually go out to the boats locked off. You got to be like a member. They just don't let any Yahoo go out there. So if you're filming YouTube videos, you're not allowed. Right now, guys, we need to be looking at UPS and FedEx as potential warnings for what's to come in our economy, because both companies saw a big drop in their stock price yesterday, pretty much overnight. And a lot of people are worried that this could be a bad sign of things to come in the economy, because it's not clear yet if these are company-related issues or if it's problems worldwide with shipping and things slowing down. But we can already tell that it probably is the second option, because FedEx, for example, their stock fell 13% and UPS fell 7%. Now, both of these companies are in the same industry and obviously are not financially related to each other. They're completely separate companies. One does not own the other. And if both of them are seeing problems right now with their stock prices going down, then that means that shipping is starting to slow down. And FedEx, for example, they're going to be closing 90 locations worldwide, guys, and they're going to be parking some of their aircraft carriers and reducing the amount of flights that they're taking. So they're basically going to be shrinking the amount of deliveries that they're going to be doing to try and cut costs. And I'm sure that that's going to come with layoffs, you know. Companies like FedEx and UPS can't just slow down operations like this and keep everybody on the payroll, because if their stock prices are falling and their earnings projections are falling, then they need to start cutting costs. And part of that is probably going to be layoffs, even though that was not mentioned here. But I'm pretty sure we're going to see that come next. But why is this important? It's important because these guys basically deliver everything, guys. Besides Amazon, we have the post office, we have FedEx, and we have UPS. Yeah, there's some other smaller carriers that have a much smaller market share, like DHL, and I don't know, maybe some of these other ones like Laser Ship, different things, you know, but they're not big players in the shipping industry like FedEx and UPS are. And if these guys are in trouble, well, what is that gonna mean for, you know, getting things ordered on time? You know, like, we already have supply chain issues. We already have people ordering more things online than ever before. So this is coming at a pretty bad timing for most people, I would say. Would you think? Like, would you guys want to be waiting additional days or even weeks for your products to arrive on time because of these, you know, problems that UPS and FedEx are having? Probably not. But I think this does point to more trouble coming in the economy, because we wouldn't be seeing companies that should be thriving right now, like UPS and FedEx. Like, everybody buys things online, guys. And if even these guys are in trouble, I think that's what people are worried about here, because big companies like this that control the world's shipping shouldn't be having issues, because business is always moving. People need to buy stuff and people are always ordering things, but maybe they're not, right? They're saying even in China and Europe is where it's slowing down significantly, and we know China's economy is in trouble. Europe's in a worse situation than we are here in the US, so this could come here next, and it's going to be interesting to see if this is going to affect how fast we can just get everyday items delivered from now on. So yet another thing we got to start paying attention to. See, one thing they do over here at the marina, guys, is they do deep sea fishing, they do boat charters. Probably sign up for all that stuff right here. Buy bait. They got Kelly Fishing Fleet, daily schedules, all-day fishing trips, late-night fishing trips, starting at about 70 bucks a person. So that's not too bad if you want to get out there and you don't have a boat and just go on the boat for the day and do some fishing. 70 bucks a person. Come back home with some fresh fish potentially. Now, another thing I've been hammering, guys, is the Heloc loans, and people that have these loans could potentially be in trouble. And lo and behold, there was an article today saying, what do I do if I have a Heloc loan and now my home is starting to go down in value? Whoa, big surprise, right? I mean, Who would have saw that coming? Now, I'm not going to be too mean on this, but let's look at the reality here. There's a couple things that can happen to your HELOC loan if you borrowed against your house and it starts going down in value, guys. Most of the time, what's going to happen is the balance that they're going to give you is going to be reduced. So if your home equity starts taking a nosedive, then they're probably going to start lowering the amount of credit that they're going to be extending to you, which for some people is going to be okay because maybe they're not using it, they're just sitting on the sidelines and waiting to maybe use it for one opportunity or another. But who is this really going to affect? It's going to affect people that say bought at the top of the market, end of 2021, beginning of 2022, and borrowed to the hill, okay? People who just took the maximum amount of home equity on the HELOC loan, and now they're going to be facing trouble because the next thing that can happen besides them lowering your limit is it can require you guys to pay back the loan in full at any time, guys. If these guys get spooked and they think that things are going down too far, too fast, they can easily just say, you know what, you got to pay us back everything right now. We can no longer risk having this line of credit extended to you. So that's a possibility, guys. A lot of people don't realize that this can happen to you, but trust me, it can happen. And that's probably a worst case scenario and won't happen to most people. But say, for example, you're in an area where home prices fell a lot, like Phoenix, like Boise, like Atlanta, and some of these places, guys. If you're in one of these cities and you borrowed to the hill, they can just come to you right now and say, it's time to pay back your home equity line of credit, guys. Sorry, but we're not going to be able to offer this to you anymore. And the question is then, do you have the money to pay it back? Oh, well, I'll just sell my house, Michael. Yeah, okay, sell your house. Is it going to be enough to cover the home equity line of credit plus the mortgage that you owe and your closing costs and paying realtor fees, paying taxes when you sell, potentially capital gain taxes as well? Are you going to be able to afford that giant cost unexpectedly is the question here. And this is why I've been telling everybody, if you're going to take one of these HELOC loans, you got to be careful, guys, because these things can put you into a bind like you've never seen before real quickly. And now that home values are starting to go down, you better believe that banks are going to be paying attention to this and potentially calling in some of these loans, if not reducing the amount of credit and just making the situation not so great for anybody who decided the HELOC was a good idea. Now, guys, I really feel bad for senior citizens right now that are already struggling to pay bills and live off of basically their Social Security, because it turns out a lot of senior citizens that actually collect a Social Security check, that's about 90% of their income a lot of times. So we already talked about the other day that the average income for Social Security right now is about $1,650 a month, and people like that are looking at getting an extra $144 a month. So now you're up to having $1,800 a month basically. And they already said that the cost of living increase that we got in January for Social Security was not enough, obviously, to fight inflation, because it was about a 5.9, basically 6% increase, okay? And that wasn't enough. So this time, it's also not going to be enough, even though it's going to be the biggest increase in history coming in 2023. So I want to know how senior citizens are going to afford all of this inflation, because obviously nobody could have predicted this happening prior to them printing $6 trillion inside of 2 years, guys, because prior to that, nothing like this has ever really been done. The last time we saw anything remotely close to this was during the 2008 financial crisis, when we had all of the bank bailouts. But even the amount of money that was printed back then, guys, was like pales in comparison to this. I think it was like, what, 1.2 trillion something? People were having a complete fit over it. Even me, I couldn't believe it back then, even though I was still young. I was like, 20, 21 years old when this happened, and I couldn't believe that the government was going to do this. And now that's like funny money compared to the 6 trillion. So obviously this is having repercussions, guys, and I feel really bad for elderly people that rely on their Social Security checks to pay the bulk of their bills. So I hope that if you're one of these people in this situation, that you guys can maybe have some other source of income coming in. Obviously things aren't getting any easier out there, so you need to look at ways that maybe you can cut your costs down a little bit some way or another. And obviously you're already living on a shoestring budget if that is the case, but hopefully people like this are going to be able to figure it out, because obviously the homeless situation is already terrible across a lot of cities in the United States. And speaking of that, guys, people have just had enough of this. Like in California, for example, in San Diego, they're also doing another one of these situations where they're rounding up homeless people and shipping them to hotels in San Diego and saying, yeah, we don't want them here, you guys can take them. You know, just like the last story we talked about where all these illegal immigrants are being shipped to sanctuary cities, now you're starting to see the same thing happen with homeless people. And I think the overall thing from this that we can take away from it is people are just tired of the whole situation, you know, with people being here that aren't supposed to be here, and people sleeping in the streets when you got to pay, you know, 20 grand a year in property taxes, but there's somebody sleeping in front of your house. I think people are just fed up with this whole thing, and that's why you're starting to see things like this happen, because it's like a statement, you know. People are like saying, that's it, you guys can have them. You know, they're going to put them somewhere, but you can't stay here, is basically how it's going to go. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen to all these illegal immigrants, all these homeless people that everyone's trying to basically get rid of right now. Where are they going to end up? And once again, how is this going to affect the housing situation? Because even people that work hard and make a decent living are having a tough time affording rent, affording mortgage payments right now. And so how are all these additional people that need to be housed going to affect things? Well, I guess we're going to be finding out soon enough. Back in 2018, the Florida Panhandle got rocked by Hurricane Michael. It was a very strong storm. It was a Category 5, guys, so basically as bad as the hurricanes come. And that entire area of Florida got hit tremendously hard, okay? And what's happening now is Florida Department of Economic Opportunity is looking at buying out a minimum of 21 homes now that are permanently located in a flood zone over there that floods roughly 4 times a year, because basically this hurricane was so strong that it changed the landscape over there forever, which hurricanes can often do. And now homes that never used to flood on a regular basis. We're talking 4 times a year with heavy rain. So they're looking to buy out these homes right now, but there's at least 85 homes that really need a buyout. So this is still only a fraction of the amount of people that actually need to get bought out. And the reason I want to bring this up is because it's kind of an interesting real estate story that you don't really hear about too often, because obviously it's not every day that we get hit by a hurricane down here, and it's even less often that you see these buyout things come. The last time I remember this happening is when Irma hit the Florida Keys. So that's the last time I remember seeing something like this happen, and that was the year before in 2017. Now guys, if you were one of these homeowners who lives in one of these now newly flood-prone areas, would you take this buyout? And that's why I want to bring this up, because personally, I think that anybody who's being offered this right now should take it. Even if it's slightly below market value, you know, you're on a sinking ship in this case, guys, because a regular buyer is probably not going to want to buy this, especially because they probably won't even be able to get insurance on a property like that. And if the government is stepping in saying, hey, it's too risky to live here, we want to pay you to leave, then you should probably take it. That's my gut reaction on this. So, you know, let me know what you guys think about that. But I think if I was a homeowner in that situation, I would probably take the money and run, because that's like, this could be like really your last opportunity to get out of the sinking ship, right? It's the lifeboat opportunity when you're on the Titanic. That's how I'm looking at this. Another story that we've all been hearing about is the situation with the IRS hiring a ton of new agents, and people are worried that now they're going to start getting audited when they never got audited before. But the interesting thing is this, guys, they're saying that they want to go after the big corporations and high income individuals that are basically cheating on their taxes. Okay, that's great. So basically the IRS is convinced that people who are rich and these big corporations are somehow cheating on their taxes. But the thing is, guys, a lot of times that most people don't realize is they're not actually cheating. A lot of these people who have money in these big corporations can afford to pay very high-end and expensive accountants, and they're using the law, they're using the tax code to their advantage. That's all they're doing most of the time. I'm not saying that nobody cheats. Of course, a bunch of people probably do, and I hope they catch the actual cheaters. But the thing is, guys, they're not going to be able to do anything about people who are legally not paying taxes. So, and if you don't think that's a thing, it's totally a thing, because they're even trying to go after big corporations that don't pay any taxes, like Amazon and Apple. It's going to be interesting to see if they're actually going to be able to squeeze any extra money out of these big corporations, because my guess is probably not. And another thing that a lot of people don't realize is that middle-class Americans, or what's left of the middle class anyhow, pay the lion's share of the taxes, guys. Not the rich people, it's the middle class that pay probably 80% of the taxes. And that's the sad reality. So they say that they're going to be going after big corporations and rich people, but I think at the end of the day, they might find that they might not be able to recoup as much revenue as they were hoping for, and where are they going to run to next? So something else to think about. But they are saying, because they've been so understaffed, that the amount of audits in 2019 were down 70% compared to the same time frame in 2010, because they just haven't had the agents, they haven't had the budget. So naturally, as more people get audited, they're probably going to come up with some more tax revenue. And one of the most common things they find that people cheat on is the earned income tax credit. That's the average Joe cheating on their taxes, guys. And those are the people that they were typically going after. And I think they're still going to be going after people like that, because they're probably going to find that that's where they find the most cheaters. I mean, whether we like it or not that Amazon and Apple don't pay any taxes, the fact of the matter is these guys make a ton of investments in research and development. They produce a ton of jobs that create employment opportunities, and this is the reason why they don't pay taxes, because those are the incentives that the tax code exactly gives big companies and investors like this. This is how you don't pay taxes. So, but they're looking at trying to get an extra $600 billion a year by making this investment in hiring all these new agents. So that's a pretty big gap that they need to cover every year. And honestly, if they can get it, guys, and they can get it without taxing the average Joe and middle-class Americans who are already taxed enough, then great. But I don't think it's going to happen. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys enjoyed this video and you found it entertaining, please subscribe to the channel and check out my next video on the screen right over here, and I'll catch you over there.